Split Enz finally reached London in 1976 and walked straight into punk rock.
We had huge love and rapture from the press initially, and then extreme cynicism quite quickly afterwards. It was an odd thing to go through. And there would be groups of punks after our gigs standing in front of the stage. I remember one situation clearly arguing about whether they could support us or not. Because one of them would go, yeah, but they're not punk, are they? And then another one would go, yeah, brilliant. Yeah, but they're not punk. You know, it was like that.
Chances are, it's not that far to go. Chances are, there's not that much to know.
They re-record some songs from their first album for their follow-up, Second Thoughts. But there's trouble with musical direction and Phil Judd.
If Phil hadn't left, maybe it would have still gone on in that kind of convoluted way, because the songs that we were learning and were being written post Second Thoughts with Phil in the band, they weren't working. We would learn the same song week after week after week, just lost the thread, really.
Frustrated and bitter, Phil Judd leaves the band he considered his own.
We decided to invite Neil to join the band. That was Mike Chun's suggestion. I'd thought about Neil and kind of thought maybe not, because he'd never played electric guitar. We needed an electric guitar player. But in the end, his ability to sing and write songs was, because he'd supported us as a 16-year-old. We knew he could write and sing really well. And he was my brother, so there was something fantastic about it.
Tim called Mum first, just to make sure she was all right about it, and then called me, and I said, I better think about it and I'll ring you back. And I think it took me 5 minutes or something. And then it was in a hurry, 3 days to get to London, basically 3 days to get a passport, get organised, and there I was on the plane. And I'd been out to the airport quite a few times to see them off, and every time thinking, they're going off to go, this is their moment, they'll go off and it's going to happen. And so then it was my turn, and it was a pretty amazing feeling.
The third album, Dysrhythmia, has songs by Tim and Eddie Rayner, but only one from Phil. Mike Chun and Paul Crowther have also left, replaced by a British rhythm section. It's almost a whole new band.
Punk rock basically catapulted Enz back to the 3-minute pop song, the intense live performance, because they were seeing what was going on around them. If you go and see the Clash live, that's what you have to do. And when I heard Dysrhythmia, I thought, they've got it. 3-minute pop songs, the album full of them. Things change, and Enz changed beautifully with the times.
Meanwhile, the Suburban Reptiles have a new member, the guy who split from Split Enz, Phil Judd, and a new single, Saturday Night Stay at Home.
Who's that? By Phil Judd. Where'd that riff come from? It was more produced, more slick. I think it was probably mainly him playing everything but drums and maybe not singing.
And Phil was just a master at arranging that. I can remember in the studio I didn't know, how could anyone think of stuff like that? It was really good to watch someone who could really arrange a song. I'd never seen that before.
What an amazing record, isn't it? It really is one of the great New Zealand singles. I think Phil Judd's production was phenomenal. The guitar at the beginning is just like one of the crucial points in New Zealand rock and roll. The funny thing about that record is a lot of the band hated it. There was a lot of bitterness between all of them at that stage, and by the time they played the next time, which was at the premiere to Angel Mine, the David Blythe film, there were 2 Suburban Reptiles playing there. There was one half of the band was playing on one side of the four, the other half of the band was playing the other side of the four, but they weren't talking to each other.
There was not exactly chemistry, I have to tell you. And Phil turned his back, and I was terribly nervous, but there's no gelling. You need that magic that you get, and that wasn't there. And there's no use going on if it's not there.
(1979). Split Ends are still in England. Times are tough, but the band plays on.
Just used to play for hours every day, hours and hours. And Nigel, our bass player, would sit up all night editing the tapes, and then in the morning he'd hand us a cassette, and it would be the highlights. And it was fantastic, It was like we didn't need an audience, we didn't need anybody. We were just our own kind of world again, almost like when we'd started. And that's what kept us going. And then we decided to kind of bail and come back home, and had a really great year in '79 playing back in Australia and New Zealand. Although that was more tenuous even so. That was the year that we would have broken up, I think.
The Ends are more popular than ever down under. Their fourth album, Frenzy, has landed hits with Icy Red and Give It a Whirl from a new songwriter for the band, Neil Finn.
Our voices blend so well, and straight away we just had that whole sound at our disposal, and we didn't use it as much as we could have for quite a while. Didn't do that many close two-part harmony songs, or didn't write together. We sort of tried a couple of times, but we were just off on our own tangents.
Finn Jr. has a new song, a poppy little number that's almost too catchy for its own good.
I got you. That's all I want. I won't forget. That's a whole lot.
I remember writing, and I thought the verse was really cool, and I thought the chorus would probably have to be changed because I thought it was a bit too corny. And then we got to rehearsal, and I realised that the reason I thought it was corny was actually because it was really hooky. It sounded good with the band playing it.
For I Got You and the album that will become True Colours, the band teams up with 18-year-old Wonder Kid producer David Tickle.
He'd been working with Mike Chapman on the Blondie stuff and that in America, so he just kind of basically used everything he'd learned from all that, I think, and brought that to bear on us. And we were ready to kind of tighten up the songs and go for really good live takes. Tickle would stand out in the studio and with the drummer, with Malcolm, and just pumping, and feeling every beat with the headphones on. So he wasn't like the producer sitting back, waiting for the performance. He was kind of in the middle of it all. And he did have a really good effect on the band, gave us confidence.
Sometimes with people who dedicate themselves to something, the stars line up. If you've got your talent and you believe in it and you keep going, every now and again the stars line up and you get fortune smiles on you, and call it what you will. That was one of those times with True Colours.
I Got You goes nuts, marching straight to number 1 in New Zealand and Australia, and punching its way to number 12 in Britain and 53 on the American Billboard charts. It's also a huge hit in Canada. Feeling like it's now or never, Split Ends embark on a vigorous campaign to break big time in North America.
This was supposed to be the moment, and in a way it really probably should have been, had there been other circumstances in play, had we understood a bit, and had we moved to America to live as they asked us to, it may well have happened in a much bigger way in America.
Our manager from Australia was trying to co-manage us with Tommy Mottola in America. Tommy Mottola now runs Sony Records. Tommy was connected, this and that and the other, whatever, I don't know, we don't know. But so he was, he came from that Italian sort of thing, let's say. And they squared off at this gig at the Roxy where Nathan had put his family in the front row of the circle or something, and it was Tommy's table. Tommy came along and stood there, and they sort of faced off, and then Nathan and I don't know why he's still alive, but he spat in Tommy's face, you know, and apparently we didn't see it. So there was this huge standoff, and then Nathan kind of let fly. Maybe that was when it all stopped in America, I don't know.